So you want to own shipping containers. Buy some steel boxes, lease them to a shipping line, and collect rent on something that basically can't break. No employees, no tenants complaining about plumbing, just a box sitting on a ship somewhere earning you money. Here is the reality. There is a multi-billion-dollar industry built around owning containers separately from the companies that operate the ships. Most people have never heard of it, and yet these boxes move roughly 90% of the world's manufactured goods. Start with the basic split. Shipping lines like Maersk or MSC do not own most of their containers. They lease a huge portion of their fleet from specialized leasing companies, the same way an airline leases planes instead of buying them. Independent investors can buy into this system too, either purchasing containers directly through a leasing company's investment program or through a fund that pools capital to buy thousands of units at once. A standard 20-foot steel shipping container costs between $2,000 and $3,000 new. A 40-foot high-cube unit, the more common size in global trade, runs $4,000 to $6,000. Buy in bulk through an investment program, and the leasing company typically handles everything after that, finding lessees, collecting payments, doing maintenance, and repositioning empty containers to wherever demand is highest. You never touch the box. You just own the title. Here's where the returns get interesting. Leasing rates run around 10 to 15% of the container's purchase price per year under a long-term lease, sometimes called a master lease. On a $5,000 container, that's $500 to $750 a year in gross lease income. Containers are typically leased for 12 to 15 years before they're retired or sold as scrap steel, which still holds meaningful resale value. Over that lifespan, a single container can generate 2 to 3 times its original purchase price in lease income alone. But the fees eat into that fast. Leasing companies typically take 15 to 20% of lease revenue for handling logistics, maintenance, and repositioning. Repair costs, especially on rougher trade routes, can run $200 to $500 per incident. And here's the risk nobody mentions up front: idle time. A container not under active lease earns nothing while still costing you storage and depot fees. In a downturn, utilization across the industry can fall from a healthy 90+% down into the 70s, meaning a meaningful chunk of the owned fleet sits empty. The pandemic-era container shortage of 2021 showed both sides of this asset in real time. Lease rates and container prices spiked to record highs as ports jammed and demand for boxes outstripped supply. Investors who owned containers during that window saw extraordinary short-term returns. But by 2023, as shipping normalized and a wave of new containers hit the market, prices and lease rates dropped sharply, and container oversupply became the story instead. That volatility is the defining feature of this business. It moves in lockstep with global trade cycles that no individual owner controls. Scale changes the picture significantly. A single container is a curiosity, a few $100s a year in income minus fees. Fund-level investors buying thousands of containers spread that risk across trade lanes, container types, and lessees, smoothing out the idle time problem that crushes small individual holders. The institutions that dominate this industry, firms like Triton and Textainer, manage millions of containers precisely because scale is what makes the fee structure and utilization math work in an owner's favor. The people who actually make money owning shipping containers understand one thing clearly. This isn't a landlord business with a box instead of a building. It's a bet on global trade volume itself, wrapped in steel, and the returns depend entirely on cycles the owner never sees coming until they're already inside one. Hit the subscribe button, like, and share for more content like this.